Okay, Ilorin was a peaceful town, known for its warm people and a simple way of life. At the center of this bustling village was a small wooden church that had become famous across the region. Its fame was tied to a man named Pastor Bamidele, a kind-hearted and charismatic preacher who had dedicated his life to serving God. Bamidele's journey to becoming a pastor was not a journey of today. As a young boy, he was poor and often mocked for his shabby clothes and barefoot. But even then, he had a heart full of faith and a strong desire to help people. One night, as a young man, Bamidele had a dream that would change his life forever. In the dream, a bright light filled the sky, and a voice called his name. Bamidele, the voice said, I have chosen you to lead my people. You will heal the sick, comfort the brokenhearted, and spread my word. When he woke up, he knew it was not just a dream. It was a divine calling. From that day on, Bamidele dedicated himself to prayer and studying the Bible. Years passed, and Bamidele grew into a respected man of faith. He began preaching in small villages, walking miles to spread the message of hope. People were drawn to his sincerity, and soon his name became known far and wide. His healing ministry was what truly set him apart. With just a touch of his hand and a heartfelt prayer, the blind saw, the lame walked, and even those tormented by strange force found peace. His fame brought many challenges, but Bamidele remained humble. He built a modest church in Oke Ilori and named it the House of Light. Every Sunday, the church was packed with villagers who came to hear his powerful sermon. Bamidele was not just a pastor, he was a father to the fatherless, a friend to the loner, and a healer to the sick. He used the tithes and offerings to help the poor, fix the road, and support widows and orphans. Mama Titi, his wife, was his greatest supporter. She often joked that she married the kindest man in the world. Together, they were admired as the perfect couple, and their love for God inspired many. Life seems perfect, but something was about to change. Beneath all the success and admiration, Bamidele carried a secret flaw. He was ambitious. He wanted to make the House of Light the biggest and most famous church in the country, and his desire would lead him down a dangerous path. One day, during a lively Sunday service, a stranger walked into the church. He was thin, trembling, and looked very sick. The man named Musa stood out from the crowd. His clothes was torn, and his eyes were full of desperation. The congregation whispered among themselves, wondering who this strange man was. Musa walked slowly to the front of the church, each step heavy with pain. Pastor Bamidele looked at him with compassion and asked, My brother, how can we help you today? Musa dropped to his knees, his body shaking uncontrollably. Pastor, he cried, I have been cursed. My body is not my own. Please pray for me. You are my only hope. The church fell silent as everyone watched Pastor Bamidele lay his hands on Musa's head. Bamidele prayed with all his might, calling on God to deliver the man from his suffering. Musa let out a loud cry, and then suddenly he was calm. The trembling stopped, and a peaceful smile spread across his face. The congregation erupted in cheers, praising God for another miracle. Musa stood up, his strength restored, and hugged the pastor tightly. Thank you, he said, tears streaming down his face. Thank you for saving my life. But as Musa left the church, he turned back and gave Pastor Bamidele a look and said, I will be back. I will be back with a huge tithe, with a smile that hinted at something darker. That night, Pastor Bamidele had a strange dream. He was standing in a dark forest, and a bright light appeared before him. The same voice that had called him years ago spoke again. Bamidele, the voice warned, do not take any offering from the man you healed today. He is carrying a curse, and if you accept his gift, it will destroy you. The voice was firm and the warning was clear. Bamidele woke up in a cold sweat. He told Mama Titi about the dream and she urged him to obey the warning. "My husband," she said, "if God has spoken, you must listen. No amount of money is worth disrespecting God." Bamidele nodded, but deep inside, he was torn. The church needed funds to expand, and Musa had hinted earlier that he wanted to make a large donation. The next day, Musa returned to the church, carrying a heavy bag. He smiled warmly and said, "Pastor, God has blessed me and I want to bless your ministry. Please accept this offering as a token of my gratitude." Musa opened the bag to reveal a large sum of money, more than the church had ever received in a single offering. The congregation gasped in awe and many began praising Musa for his generosity. Bamidele hesitated. The warning from his dream echoed in his mind, but the sight of the money was too tempting. "Thank you, Brother Musa," he said, accepting the money. "May God continue to bless you." The congregation cheered, but Mama Titi's face was pale with worry. She knew something was wrong, but she couldn't stop her husband from making his choice. That night, Bamidele had another dream. This time, he saw himself barking like a dog, crawling on all fours. While the villagers laughed at him, he woke up trembling, but instead of praying for guidance, he dismissed the dream as mere imagination. "God has blessed us," he told himself. "This morning we do great things for the church." The next morning, Pastor Bamidele woke up feeling strange. As he tried to pray, he noticed an unusual heaviness in his chest. His voice felt tight, almost as if something was blocking his throat. Ignoring it, he got ready for the day, brushing off the discomfort as sickness. But as he greeted Mama Titi at the breakfast table, a low guttural sound escaped his mouth. "Woof!" Mama Titi froze. "What was that, my dear?" she asked, laughing nervously. "I don't know," Bamidele replied, forcing a chuckle. But when he tried to speak again, another bark escaped. His heart raced as he placed his hand over his mouth. Was he imagining this? He quickly excused himself and locked himself in the bedroom, staring at his reflection in the mirror. "Calm down, Bamidele," he whispered to himself. But when he tried to pray, the words came out as more barks. "Woof! Woof! Woof!" By midday, the barking had worsened. Bamidele avoided his congregation, afraid they would hear him. When Deaconess Funke visited to discuss the upcoming church program, he waved her away, claiming he had lost his voice. "Pastor," she said before leaving, "I hope you prayed over Musa's offering. Something about that man didn't feel right." Bamidele nodded weakly, unable to respond. As night fell, the barking became uncontrollably. He barked in his sleep, staring Mama Titi, who shook him awake. "What is happening to you, Bamidele?" she cried. He couldn't answer her with words. Only bark came out. Tears filled her eyes as she realized something supernatural was at work. The next day, things got worse. Bamidele was crouching on all fours, his hands bending strangely, almost like they were turning into a dog's paw. His strong, clear voice had changed into a weak bark and growls. News spread fast in the village. Pastor Bamidele, the powerful man of God, was acting like a dog. People gathered outside his house, talking quietly and wondering what was going on. Elder Olamide, one of the church leaders, confronted Mama Titi. "What is happening to our pastor?" he demanded. "This is not ordinary. He must confess if he has done something wrong." Mama Titi cried, unable to explain the horror unfolding before her eyes. Bamidele, still crushed in a corner of the room, looked at his wife with pleading eyes. He wanted to confess, to tell her about the dream and the warning, but all that came out was barks. He tried to write his thoughts, on a piece of paper, but his trembling hands could barely hold the pen. Desperate for answers, Mama Titi decided to take her husband to a powerful prophet in a neighboring town. With the help of a few church members, they managed to bundle Bamidele into a cart, covering him with a blanket to avoid the stares of curious villagers. The journey was long, filled with Bamidele's painful backs and the silent prayer of his worried wife. When they arrived at the prophet's house, the old man, Prophet Alade, welcomed them with a knowing look. "Bring him in," he said calmly, as if he had been expecting them. Once inside, Prophet Alade knelt beside Bamidele and placed a hand on his head. "Pastor Bamidele," he said softly, "you ignored God's warning and now you bear the consequences." Mama Titi was shocked. "What do you mean, prophet?" she asked. The prophet sighed deeply. "The man you healed, Musa, came with a curse. His money was stolen from a shrine in his village, a shrine that cursed anyone who touched the stolen offering. God warned Pastor Bamidele in a dream, but he ignored the message and accepted the money. The curse has now fallen upon him." Tears streamed down Mama Titi's face. "Is there no way to save him?" she pleaded. "The curse is strong," Prophet Alade replied. "The gods demand restitution. The money must be returned to the shrine, and Musa must publicly confess his action. Only then can the curse be broken." Determined to save her husband, Mama Titi returned to Oke Ilorin with the prophet's instruction, but finding Musa proved more difficult than she imagined. The man had disappeared, leaving no trace behind. Days turned into weeks, and Pastor Bamidele's condition worsened. He could no longer stand upright, his body fully bent like that of a dog. The villagers, once full of admiration for their pastor, now mocked him. Children threw stones at his house, and some even barked at him in jest. Mama Titi, once a proud and respected woman, endured the shame silently, refusing to give up hope. One fateful day, Musa returned to the village. He walked confidently into the market, unaware that his actions had been exposed. When Mama Titi spotted him, she ran to him and fell to her knees. "Please, Musa," she begged, "confess what you have done. My husband's life depends on it." Musa said, "Why should I confess? Your husband was greedy. He wanted the money, so he took it. Now he should bear the consequences." Elder Olamide, who had followed Mama Titi, overheard Musa's words and quickly gathered the villagers. "This man is the cause of our pastor's suffering," he shouted. The crowd surrounded Musa, demanding the truth. Cornered and afraid, Musa finally admitted his crime. "The money was cursed," he confessed. "I took it from a shrine in my village to free myself from the curse. I knew whoever accepted it would take my place." The villagers, outraged, forced Musa to return the money to the shrine. The elders accompanied him, and after much negotiation with the shrine priest, the curse was lifted. When they returned to Oke Ilorin, Pastor Bamidele's backing stopped. Slowly, he regained his human form, though he remained weak and fragile. His first words, spoke with tears streaming down his face, were, "Forgive me, Lord." The tales of Pastor Bamidele spread far and wide, serving as both a warning and a source of inspiration. It taught that not all blessings are blessings from God, and that God's warning, no matter how inconvenient, should never be ignored. Please support us with your like, comment, and subscription. Thank you.